I said, I want the knife, please. Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm Andrew Cavanaugh. I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to Cavanaugh's Corner. Today on the show, as you could have guessed from the intro, we're going to be talking about a movie today that is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I've loved this movie for many, many years. It's a movie that I always get a good laugh out of when I watch it, even though it's ridiculous and silly. I really do like this movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid and now revisiting it years later. I really enjoyed it, and that is The Golden Child. This is the new Paramount Presents Blu-ray of it. It's actually the first time it's ever been on Blu-ray, and I'm glad after all these years it finally came out, because this is a movie that, again, has some pretty cool special effects for its time. And now this is an all-new 4K remaster of the film. And again, it's just a standard Blu-ray. This is the special kind of slipcover that's in it. You can see with the poster artwork, and there's the back there. But this is the disc itself. It's in kind of a clear case, and it has some pictures and quotes from the director Michael Ritchie. Here's the Blu-ray inside, and it's a pretty nice little package here. I like it. It also does come with a digital copy that actually redeems in 4K with Dolby Vision on iTunes. So it's kind of interesting that we didn't get a 4K disc, but the digital copy is actually 4K. But today I'm going to be focusing on the disc itself and the 1080 Blu-ray. And I did watch it upscaled in 4K. So I'm going to be talking about the picture quality and the audio as well on the disc here. So anyway, The Golden Child, again, filmed from 1986, and this was a fairly big hit for Eddie Murphy, ironically enough. Critics and people like that were not really too kind to it, because it is kind of a really crazy story, but the film itself is, I find it really funny, and I got a kick out of it again, watching it all these years later. And there's some really great moments in this. Eddie Murphy's comic timing in this is just unbelievable. And you can really tell that Eddie Murphy and Michael Ritchie had a good time making this movie. It seems like they had a blast. And that scene where they go into the cavern there, and he has to go through that test to get the knife here that you see in the picture back here, that mystical dagger. That scene is probably the best scene in the movie, honestly, in my opinion, and it's so funny. It's such a funny film. But the new disc here, and I remember the last time I saw this film, it was on a very bare bones DVD that came out many, many, many years ago, probably over 20 years ago now. And that disc was lacking in a lot of departments, honestly. The picture quality was not that great on it. And I just remember the film being very kind of murky and not very good looking in many ways. But this new 4K remaster is actually really good. It's not a 4K disc, but the transfer they did for this film was actually really good. The picture quality throughout is pretty clear. I noticed, the detail level on it was pretty high. It's a much brighter picture than I remember. The whole film is very much brighter than it used to be. I'd say it's more vibrant as well. The picture on the disc really hasn't been DNR'd to hell, which is really good. There is a good amount of grain in the picture, I would say. You can really tell it was shot on film, and the grain never gets to the point where it's extremely heavy, where you can't, see what's going on. But it's definitely there. It's a fine layer of grain, and it looks good. Overall, I'd say the picture on this is very solid. I just noticed that the picture overall was much more clearer than it was before. I think clearer is really the best description you can use for this disc. The overall image just looks much more lifelike and vivid than it used to. The lighting and everything in the film is very much noticeable now. I think the film as a whole is just brighter and more vibrant. The opening scenes in Tibet there with the snow and everything, as Charles Dance opens those doors and the bad guys come in, you can really see just how bright that picture gets with that when that door opens. It's not blindingly bright, but it's definitely a big improvement over that older DVD from years ago. I really enjoyed that. And the picture as a whole, I'd say, is just much easier on the eyes than it used to be. The darker scenes look way better, and I think that's the biggest improvement on this disc, is the nighttime scenes, and the more scenes that are dimly lit, I think, are way better than they used to be. I think it's a marked improvement over the other one. Black levels on this disc were really, really good. I didn't notice any kind of black crush or anything like that. I did notice, though, at times in the scenes where there are more visual effects, especially near the end, the visual effects now, as we have that 4K intermediate, that is definitely, it is not aged well. Some of those special effects do look a little rough around the edges, and you do notice the grain kind of get a little heavier during those sequences, mainly because of the fact that it's all, in-camera work. So they, did these special effects right on the film source itself. And with that, when you have those sources interspersed like that, then, you usually get that heavier grain. That does happen in this on occasion. But overall, I'd say, the film does look really great. Warts and all, I thought it was a very good transfer. The sound on this is a 5.1 Dolby True HD mix, and the audio was actually pretty good on this as well. I wouldn't say it was anything groundbreaking, but the sound effects sounded great. The score itself is really great in this movie. I found this to be one of the catchier scores of the 80s, honestly. I really get a kick out of it. It kind of has a lot of horns and synthesizers, things like that, and I enjoyed that. I thought it was pretty great. And, even though it's just a 5.1 mix, it's fantastic for this disc. It's very serviceable. Would it have been better with an Atmos track? Probably, but again, the movie doesn't really utilize a lot of, the surrounds and stuff like that. It's mainly kind of front and center, and the two speakers. There's not a lot of, stuff going on in the surrounds. But when, the music is blasting and Eddie Murphy's cracking those wisecracks, then, it works. It works really well, and I didn't see any issues with it, honestly. I thought it was a very good sound mix. And it also does include a few new special features. There's a little making of kind of two-part featurette. One part talking about the cast and crew, and there's some vintage interviews with Eddie Murphy and the director. And there's some, really nice little things that they had to say about making the movie. Thought it was interesting. They have some behind-the-scenes footage and stuff about the making of the film, and that was cool. And they also talk about the more mystical aspects of the film. It's called Daggers, Designs, and Demons, its second part. And that more focuses on the special effects and the more fantastical parts of the story. So I thought that was cool. It also has the original theatrical trailer. Although for many years, fans of this film will probably know about this, but there was a teaser trailer that was done, that really doesn't have much in terms of footage from the film, but it showed Eddie Murphy in the snow, in Tibet, and it's kind of one of those long lost kind of teaser trailers, but sadly that wasn't included. That may have been lost to time, which is too bad, but from what I've heard, it's a very funny teaser and a little piece of trivia about the film that I've always hoped that they'd kind of find and put out there, but to this day, it's kind of been lost, which is too bad. But overall, I'd say, you know, The Golden Child here is a great release from Paramount. I really enjoyed it. I thought the picture was fantastic. The sound was very good as well. If you're a fan of this film, I'd recommend picking this one up on Blu-ray. And I'm going to check out that digital copy at some point because I want to see what this movie looks like with the HDR and everything. If the 4K, you know, digital intermediate looked that good in on a 1080 Blu-ray upscaled to 4K, then I'm sure the 4K digital copy with the Dolby Vision and everything looks even better. But that remains to be seen. You know, definitely if you're a fan of this film, pick it up. It's definitely worth the, you know, the $20 price tag if you're a fan. If not, then you might want to wait for a sale because, again, besides the film itself and a few little special features here, there's really not much to this disc, but what you get out of it is pretty great, and it's probably the best this movie has ever looked on home video. So really great stuff from Paramount here. And that's it for today for Cavanaugh's Corner. Just want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel, and if you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below so I can keep bringing videos like this to you. And until then, please stay safe and take it easy.